Hello and welcome to the Al Monitor Brief. It's Friday, June 7th. I'm Kristen Tallman. Today's main segment is a conversation with Ezgi Akin, Al Monitor's Turkey editor, on Turkey's foreign minister's trip to China this week. But first, let's get you caught up on the headlines. Lebanon's head of the military, Joseph Aoun, is heading to Washington next week, Al Monitor has confirmed. The trip comes amid the ongoing border hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah and rising domestic tensions. Yemen's Houthi rebels have detained at least 15 Yemeni employees of UN agencies and other aid organizations, officials from the internationally backed government revealed on Friday. Israel's army said on Friday it had killed 17 militants the day before in an airstrike on a UN school in central Gaza, raising its previous toll from 9. Qatari's defense minister said on Friday that his country has no plans of expelling Hamas's political headquarters from Doha. The United States on Friday reestablished a temporary pier to boost aid deliveries into Gaza after the structure suffered storm damage and underwent repairs in a nearby port. And Saudi Arabia said the Hajj will start on June 14th after astronomical observatories spotted the crescent moon Thursday evening, signaling the beginning of the month in which the annual pilgrimage falls. And now onto the main segment. Hey, Ezgi, welcome to the Al Monitor Brief.
Hey, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me again.
So this week was significant for Turkey's Foreign Minister Fidan. Walk us through Fidan's visit to China. Where did he go? What officials did he meet? Why now?
So Fidan traveled to China for a return visit of Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's Turkey visit in July. The last time a top Turkish diplomat visited the Asian power was 2022. And as part of his 3-day official visit, the visit kicked off in Beijing, with Fidan holding talks with his counterpart Wang, Vice President Han Zheng, as well as the country's top official who oversees intelligence and police. From trade ties to cooperation in counterterrorism, the talks were quite comprehensive. Then on Wednesday, he traveled to Xinjiang in northwest China to visit Uyghur Autonomous Region. And for us, journalists covering Turkey, it was one of the most interesting legs of this visit because it was the first high-level visit to the region after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's in 2012.
Wow. Okay. So backing out, I mean, a lot of the headlines caught some of the tail end of Fidan's statement saying that Turkey would attend the BRICS summit in about a week. But to what you're talking about, it seems like it glossed over some of the significance of the trip, which is a Turkish leader visiting the Uyghur region. I mean, what does a Turkish leader and Fidan visiting the Uyghur region mean?
Exactly. Perhaps I should give some background on the Uyghurs at this point for our audience. Uyghurs are China's largest Muslim minority of Turkic ethnic origin. So they have very close ties with Turkey. Turkey is home to one of the largest Uyghur diaspora across the world. And Turkish President Erdogan was one of the most outspoken defenders of Uyghurs in face of Beijing's mass crackdown on this minority, despite prompting Chinese anger. Tens of thousands of Uyghurs are incarnated in so-called re-education camps in China, while China claims that the camps are aimed at de-radicalization and to combat separatism. International community accuses the Asian power of several crimes, including forced sterilization and torture. But, after Turkey's economy started to go off rails after 2020, and Erdogan toned down his criticism towards China, which is Turkey's third largest trade partner globally. So we were closely watching whether Fidan would repeat his country's criticism of Beijing over Uyghurs. Publicly, he didn't. And in fact, he repeatedly said that Turkey was fully supporting China's territorial integrity against separatist movements. But instead, Fidan tried to maintain his government position on defending Uyghurs' right for freedom of religion through subtle messages. For example, he didn't refer to the Uyghur region by its Chinese name, Xinjiang, and described Uyghur cities as historically Turkic Muslim cities. Now, experts I talked to after the meetings, after the visit, point out that this description completely goes against the official Chinese position over the Uyghur issue. But as of now, they haven't expressed, the Chinese authorities haven't expressed any disgruntlement, at least publicly, over Fidan's remarks. So prevailing consensus is that Ankara and Beijing managed to weather their disagreement over this subject diplomatically and successfully. The sentiment among some dissident Uyghurs living in abroad, meanwhile, including among those who live in Turkey too, was completely different, as we can imagine. Fidan's full support of Chinese integrity didn't go well with their expectations from Turkey. And I can say that there's a level of disappointment as they feel closer Turkey-China ties could come at their expense.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, that last bit as well. I mean, just comparing the official statements with then also the diaspora community and so forth. And it's interesting to see how maybe in some ways Turkey's hands are tied just because of economically how strong China is and how important of a trade partner they are for Ankara. More broadly, Ezgi, I mean, what are the state of Turkey-China relations? And did this trip seem to move the needle closer or create a gap, or is it sort of just the status quo? What are your thoughts and reporting on more broadly?
Well, Fidan in Beijing gave a series of important messages to the likings of Chinese part, I can say, including Turkey was seeking to deepen its cooperation with China on security and defense issues. His message on cooperation in the counterterrorism field led some anger among some Uyghur dissident communities, but I'm sure it was welcomed on the Chinese part. So, as I mentioned before, overall, the prevailing consensus among experts who closely watch Ankara-Beijing ties, the visit was a success.
Ezgi, thank you so much for your reporting and keeping our audience up to the minute.
Thank you very much for having me again.
That's it for today, Friday, June 7th. You can read all these stories and more impacting the region at allmonitor.com.